Welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Spencer, and we're going to be discussing Big Sky episode number 8. If you've not hit the sub button, do so. Hit the bell, leave a comment, leave a like. That'd be helpful. We do these every single week. We'll be doing the entirety of Big Sky season 1. Not sure about season 2. Not even sure if there will be a season 2. A lot of other content on the channel. Check that stuff out. And let's start with the name of the episode is The End is Near. I'm assuming that's in reference to Ronald because shit is going really bad for him by the end of the episode.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, wow. Last week, Cassie and Jenny are at Marylee's house. They know that he's there. Well, they find out he's there when they talk to her. He escapes exactly sort of like we predicted. He goes through a window. Apparently, he parked far away because there's a whole element where she's like, I didn't see a car, and he just walked up. There's that. He did get what he came for, and I was a little irritated that at no point in the episode did we get to see the contents of what he got from Rick Legowski's stash. So we still do not know what exactly it is that he got.
Well, and I didn't have a lot of gripes with this episode. There's some parts that made me laugh inappropriately, and the word they use like "gosh" at one point, and I was like, nobody talks like that. But the only part that irritated me in this episode was he knew that there was a stash. He knew it was behind the wall or whatever, but the size that was open was no bigger than like a fist, maybe, or a hand. So you're going to tell me that he knew exactly where in this wall, because he said that he didn't know. He just knew it was back there. And there's this like fist-sized hole in this wall, and he just happened to find exactly what he was looking for in that very short period of time.
Jumped out the window, sprinted through the woods, got into his car, took off without anybody hearing.
It was like 6 miles away at this point.
Yeah. He gets home, and we have him going into his Norman Bates mode. Basically, he puts his mother down in the basement. He starts cleaning and repeating things that she had said to him. One thing I thought of was when he starts cleaning the dishes, I'm like, why are there so many dirty plates? There's 2 of you. Well, that was one thing. I was like, what the hell is there so many plates in the sink?
Well, see, like me, and I don't want to hurt any environmental person's feelings. I guess that by using paper plates, I'm saving water. So, because Jesus, there's like 92 people that live in my house. So using paper plates kills trees, but it saves water. But I rarely have that many dishes in my sink, and there's a lot of people that live here. I was like, so how is it just him? Like you said, he's got like 7 plates, and he's washing them. He washes the one plate like 4 times. Like, what was he eating? Like nachos?
Because all we've ever seen him consume is cereal. So why wasn't it like a bunch of bowls? Like that was something I was thinking about. Because he was at Marylee's house, and we now know that they were in communication. There's a lot of pressure on her. The police suspect that she was involved in some capacity. They're telling her she needs a lawyer. This runs through the entirety of the episode. Even Cassie talks to her and is a little suspect. So Marylee's story is getting interesting. We'll talk about the ending a little later, but yet again, similar to last week, I'm quite enjoying her journey, and I'm interested where it's going to go, because even after, I'm assuming Ronald will be killed or captured by the next episode or 2, because that would be the 10 episode arc that was supposed to happen. So, but her story, I don't know, will end yet.
I don't think so. I hope not, anyway. I like the story with her so far. So I think that the importance will still be there. She can still offer a lot of insight. And like I said, I think either Ronald or Rick will make it through. So I'm not sure which one yet, because they both seem to be, one seems to be his brain's failing, and then the other one is going quite literally insane.
Rick, my money's on Rick surviving at this point in time. I don't know what they're doing with Rick, but they're setting up a lot, I think. Uh, he's given a polygraph by his lawyer in this episode. It shows that he appears to be telling the truth. He's confronted 3 times. We'll talk about 2 of them now, that being Cassie confronting him, first disguising herself as a doctor. And how many damn doctors are in this hospital? Like, I've noticed it for several episodes now, but it seemed even more prominent this one. There's so many doctors in the parking lot, inside the hospital, just walking around. I'm like, how big is this town to have that many hospitals? I've been to major cities with large hospitals, and I didn't see that many people walking around in medical gear. But I don't know. It's just sort of funny to me.
Well, and the fact that there are so many doctors in this facility that 2 people can pretend to be doctors and nobody even recognizes that they're not really doctors.
They casually strolled through the parking lot and went back into their car at the end. But yeah, Cassie confronts him. Nothing works. Jenny confronts him in a lot more aggressive way. You killed my husband. Trying to get through him. That did not work either. Well, like I said, we'll talk about the variant in a moment, but just specifically the polygraph and those 2 encounters. Do you believe Rick is faking it somehow, or he legitimately doesn't remember up until that point?
I still think throughout this whole episode, I still think he's faking it. Like like the polygraph, he's a cop. I'm sure that he's not administered polygraphs before, but I'm sure that he's at least aware of how they work. So him being able to, they are beatable. Like, it's not a impossible to beat thing. Also, if you have split personalities or narcissism, there's a lot of disorders that kind of help you from feeling emotions, because polygraphs are measuring your biometric stuff, your heart rate, your blood oxygen, like all those things. But narcissists believe that it's not really their fault that stuff happened. It's always somebody else that forced them to do this. I think that there's a lot of ways for him to beat it. And I think when he was talking to Marylee and she was upset and crying and what about me, he got upset for like a half a second and then went right back into the Rick that we know, not the Rick that she knew and fell in love with. So I 100% still believe that he's faking it.
As I said moments ago, the Ronald storyline got pretty crazy. We're introduced to another new character, Eric, the Paperboy. He is on this route. He's familiar, with his customers, and he knows the face of Ronald. He's seen it before, and so when he's delivering the paper, he sees the wanted picture, and it's like, oh shit, I know that guy. And so he decides to confirm it, and he waits and sees when Ronald comes out to get the paper. He snaps some pictures with his phone, and Ronald somehow, with his ninja skills, knew all this, snuck up on the kid, and captures him, putting him in a cage in his basement. Now, for a moment, I thought, oh, wow, how long is this? I was thinking, oh, is this going to be a long-term storyline where he's got this kid held captive? But by the end of the episode, I was like, no, this is going to wrap up pretty quickly, I believe, probably the next episode or 2. But Eric, interesting character. That shit goes in some crazy directions, especially towards the end, when he gets a hold of a staple gun, stapling Ronald in the head, and then getting his taser, his weapon of choice. But then Ronald has a response to that, pouring gasoline in the basement, and I guess he's gonna light the house on fire and burn everything down.
I couldn't stop laughing because the all the way even leading up to that, this kid's very resilient. He's a badass kid. He's not gonna let Ronald kill him. He shoots him in the head with the staple guns, like you said, steals his weapon of choice. Even makes the dad joke, like oh yeah, sometimes she can be cold. And I was like, the entire interaction between those two, it was kind of like those things that make me laugh, even though it's kind of uncomfortable and it should make me laugh. Like, it made me laugh hysterically the whole time. And then when he was singing, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, and was pouring gas like everywhere, dude, I was losing it. and and when he walked down the stairs and poured like a little bit over the father as he was still walking, dude, it was fantastic.
Well, speaking of the father, yes, a priest. And we said, yeah, again, we called this last week, sort of. We said, if his mother, chances are she's heavily involved in the church, and somebody would notice her missing. And that, sure enough, is exactly what happened. A priest showed up, basically saying, "Hey, we meet regularly, we talk, and where's your mom?" She tells me you have issues, blah blah blah. And this thing turns into a combination of childhood trauma during his baptism, which I was like, apparently when he was baptized, in his mind, his father had said something about holding him down longer because he's weak and he needs to be stronger. And I guess the priest, did he do it? And he thought he was going to drown. I don't know. I want more to that story because I was like, well, what the hell exactly happened there? But
Well,
anyways, this affected the hell out of Ronald.
well, like you said, it's something that nobody remembers anything from being that young. But when he mentioned it, the father didn't say no, that's not how it happened. When he was like, no, that's
He's like, you're too young to remember.
But then when he mentioned all the stuff about his dad, the father didn't have a rebuttal for that. So I was like, is that what really happened? I was like, oh shit.
Well, it gets me wondering more and more. We've established, and they've abandoned that storyline up to this point, that there is a local church that's considered more fringe, and they have their own little community. Is this tied to that, or is this something completely different? I don't know. Yeah, what we don't know about Ronald's father, we never really have gotten into that. So now that's a new element being introduced. Whether or not we'll get more into it before his storyline ends, I don't know. You're right, his storyline may not end. We don't know, but I thought that was interesting. It leads to one hell of a fight. These two beat the shit out of each other. Ronald pulls his taser out, starts using it, and at first I was like, "Oh, he got his taser. There's no taking him down." And the priest all of a sudden pulls a knife, starts slamming him through tables. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like for a moment, I thought the priest was gonna win. I was like, "Oh damn!" We're watching another series called 30 Coins, and there's a priest in it who's fighting, the forces of evil, and he's a badass fighter. So I was like, "Oh shit, this is similar to that." Um, yeah, Ronald does win though, and he drowns the priest. So there's
Well, not only did he just drown him, like he wasn't holding his head. He was like standing on his
dude,
goddamn.
he was on not on his back, on his shoulders.
Yeah, his knees were in the middle of his back, like on his shoulders, holding him under the water. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then he throws him down the stairs to scare, I guess to mess with Eric. Talk about childhood trauma. This kid, if he gets out of this, it's going to affect him. We get a couple scenes with Jerri. Not many, just basically her saying, "Look, I have a hard time sleeping. Are y'all going to get Ronald because this is horrible." And I still believe after they resolve this, that I'm thinking Jerri's going to stick around and want to join them, perhaps join the agency. Maybe they'll, need another. It's just the two of them, so they'll probably need a third person. Just guessing. I don't know. Grace and Danny did not appear in this episode, which leads me to believe they're gone.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on Rick's status because if he makes it out, if they actually have a trial or whatever, they'll probably come back. But if Rick, for whatever, pleads guilty because he isn't faking and feels guilty about all the stuff that Jenny and them said, then they won't need to come back. But if he pleads innocent or pleads not able to withstand being in court, those kind of things, was it competent?
Yeah, they were basically saying roughly what I said. If he is not,
Not fit to trial.
yeah, they'll basically lock him in a hospital type environment, and then Cassie and Jenny's concern was at some point he'll be considered capable of rejoining society. It's a very strong chance he'd eventually get out.
Well, and I loved her interaction with Cassie at that point. She's just like, well, if he gets out, I'm killing him.
Yeah. The ending scene with Marylee confronting Rick. That was an interesting scene, and it really sort of left me wondering exactly what it meant, because she's basically saying the same things that Ginny and Cassie had said, or the doctor, or anyone else, and he was continually saying, I don't know, I don't know. And then there's a moment where he's sort of doing something with his fingers, and she has this look on her face, and then he sort of has a look on his face, and I wasn't completely clear on what it was trying to say. Was it saying that he was bullshitting them, or was he coming at that very moment starting to remember? I wasn't sure. What was your interpretation of that scene?
It was my interpretation, like I said, that he's been faking this whole time, and I think that that was his way, because I think that from everything that Marilee's done, regardless of how bad Rick's been and how much fucked up stuff he's done, she's still been in his corner. And I think that that was his way of communicating to her that he can't say, yeah, I'm faking, but telling her that, yeah, he's faking. Because to me, that's plausible deniability. If she's like, look, he's faking, he told me, blah, 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 I'd be like, no, I didn't. So I think he's trying to test her to see if she's still going to stay in his corner.
I did think it was interesting or odd that she thought that showing him a picture of Eric would get him to break. Hey, we got to save this young kid. It's like, if you kidnap all these women, he shot Grace with a bow and arrow. He murdered a man who was fishing just because he saw him. I don't think he gives a shit about a kid.
That's why, like, until she said he might come after me, he didn't show any emotion. And that emotion that he showed right there, I thought was genuine, because I think that he does love Marylee, regardless of, what their past has done, and regardless of how much he's basically just kind of put her on the back burner because he's been too busy kidnapping children. But I think that he does genuinely love her, and that, like, finger thumping thing was him being angry. Like, he wants to go after Ronald. But I think that was, well, thinking about it, because I was saying that was his way of communicating to her that he's guilty. That may have been his way of communicating to her that he's going to protect her, because his face got super serious all of a sudden. Like, it was, I think it's more along the lines of that, now that I think about it. I don't know.
3 just sort of random points I have. First being Rick's cutout. I thought that was a nice touch.
That was so good.
They go in the house and Cassie turns on the light and Rick's standing there, but it's a cutout. Yeah, that was great.
In case you need Christmas or birthday ideas, that's what I want of myself.
And don't ask for something you will receive. Trust me, if they make it.
Oh, I know. It'd be creepy as shit.
Secondly, the Canada crew, as I've been calling them,
Canada Dry.
We still haven't heard any word or seen any other of the people involved in the trafficking. When will that happen? I'm assuming soon. I'm assuming the information that Ronald has will connect to that at some point.
We did. The female state trooper boss was there. We saw her this episode. And I'm joking, but I'm also serious, because when she was saying, hey, how did you know that this was in here? Did you contaminate the evidence? I think that she, just as much as Cassie and Jenny and Ronald, wanted what was in there. But I think she wanted it to cover herself and see perhaps what he had on her also.
Third point, no FBI. We keep hearing about the FBI, but we have not yet seen any. It's odd to me that they haven't pulled Cassie and Jenny to the side to interview them. It's more odd to me that they haven't completely shut down their practice, their investigation service, until they figure out what exactly is going on. Now, I just chalk this up to it's just it is what it is. They're not going to, the showrunners are not trying to explain all that, but the fact that they've done the things they've done, and the FBI is supposedly there on the case, and they've not yet been like, hey, who shot him again? Um, I just, a little bit of an oversight. I think they could at least have one agent trailing them, being a pain in the ass. You know what I mean?
Well, it would make sense because like you said, just being painful or them having to escape them or sneaking out at night to try like anything. It'd be so easy to write around, but to literally not mention it at all this episode was odd. Because you would imagine that the FBI have a little bit of clout and pull, so it wouldn't be very hard to have them tailed or followed or anything.
Yeah, exactly. No Cody flashbacks in 2 episodes now, so I'm thinking that might be over. I think maybe he shot those first 5 or 6 episode clips, and I think Ryan Felipe might be done.
I don't think so, because just because in this episode she mentioned something and then looked back at Cassie, and like me and my wife were talking, I was like, that's kind of fucked up for Cassie to even be involved. And she was like, my husband, you did this to my husband. And I'm like, Cassie's there, like literally the person who was with your husband probably last. Well, not last, because they did show Jenny.
Yeah, they hooked up
the night before.
Yeah, the night he died. Yeah.
So I guess she was the last one, but it's just that dynamic to me. Out of all the things that are unrealistic in the show, that one is by far the most unrealistic. That these two people who were sleeping with the same guy are now best friends, even though they weren't friends at all prior to this. Like now, all of a sudden, they're being each other's shoulder to cry on about the same man. That's weird as shit.
They bonded. No Justin this week. That's good.
Yeah, that's a plus.
I
hate his face.
He just, like I said, he's only been in a few scenes, but I didn't think the performance was there, and I was like, oh man, I don't want more of this. So far that has not been the case, so that's good. Predictions for next week. We have. I'm considering the first 10 episodes one story arc, just because we know that was the only episodes ordered originally. Someone in our comments mentioned last week that I was wrong about what was I forget what I was even saying.
There's going to be 11 more after the 10.
Correct.
We were saying initially that there's 11 more from the break, so I think it's 16 total, or
yes, that's what. Yes, yeah, that was correct. So I forget who commented on that, but thanks for putting that in there. If we make mistakes like that, feel free to let us know in the comments, because it helps us and it helps the audience. So yeah, those first 10 episodes are about to wrap, and then obviously we'll get those additional 6. Now who knows, maybe they'll order more after that, I don't know, but my guess is that this Ronald situation will resolve in the next 2 episodes.
I would think so, because he's going to have a big target painted on him here real quick after he burns his house down with a child in it, and a priest, and his mom. Talk
about escalation, man.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to all the houses on that route. So the mom, when she was talking and everything. So I'm really curious if this is going to be one of those things where they're pulling up and Ronald's got to make an escape again before it burns his house down, or if it's going to be like right afterwards and they like try to run in and save the kid because they can hear him screaming or what. I don't know.
That was it's not funny, but it is funny when the priest looks downstairs and he sees, and he's like, oh shit, and he turns around and he runs so damn fast. He does what I would have done. He bolts, he's hauling ass trying to get to that door. And it was one of those real human moments. Like, I think that's what anyone would have done. He didn't just like jump down there and try to fight Ronald or anything like that. No, he fight or flight, and it was flight, man. And I would have probably done the exact same thing, to be completely honest. And of course, then when Ronald gets to him, then it turned, he has to defend himself. Um, but yeah, that whole sequence. And again, we say it every week. A very unpredictable show. You never quite know what's going to happen next.
Well, and that's the thing too. Ronald looked real little. Like he looks very small. But I looked it up and the guy who plays Rick is like 6'4", 6'5". He's a big dude. So Ronald's not as small as I initially thought. He's just small in comparison to Rick. Rick's a big dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I believe exhausted my list here of topics. Is there anything else you want to talk about regarding episode number 8 of Big Sky?
I don't think so. I think I'm pretty good.
All right. As I said at the top, if you've not hit the sub button, please do so. The channel is about to go through a bit of a metamorphosis. I know we're going to go through a couple of weeks where things are going to be a little odd. A lot of shows are ending. We're going to be experimenting with some different kinds of content here really, really soon. What's this show we're going to start? Your Snowfall? Yeah. We will be doing Snowfall, I guess, in a week or two when it starts. We'll be starting that. So yeah, the next several weeks, things are going to be a little different on the channel, but hope you stick with us on it. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.